What's up? How's it going? I am back to do another custom request video for King Mitchell. King, what's up, bro? Um, King, there's a lot of colors in here, right? I got the nerve to be drinking from an orange mug. However, let's brighten up the place, right? Brighten up the attitude, brighten up the mind, show some optimism. So, King Mitchell has a Sag ascendant, a Virgo sun, Scorpio moon, a Libra stellium with Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars inside of Libra, and it's also it's also his midhaven, and then Venus is in Leo. All right, so I can just go right off the rip. I don't have to do any deeper research to tell you what's going on here. All right, for the most part, not for the most part, but first of all, rather. You may find yourself talking to yourself, and I don't mean like in a loony bin type of way. I mean like even internally, you may be talking to yourself because it's the Virgo in you. It's being a Virgo that has this worry, nervous energy about them that is really wondering like, what is the Sagittarius ascendant up to? Like you might even find your filter may be crazy. So you may ask yourself more times than less, what are you doing? Or why'd you just do that? Like you really have no clue. And this comes from the irrational style that the Sagittarius energy uses when they're doing things, because Sagittarius is really like the badass of astrology, like because they have this thing that they won't listen to anybody, and it's like whatever their spiritual belief is, because they are spiritual people. Spiritual people don't let the fiery thing about them fool you. They have some type of spirituality to them, and whether they express that to you or not is still to be determined. Maybe later on in life they do. For the most part, sometimes they won't reveal their hand because they don't want you to even think that they think that way. However, their sign is built around that, right? It's ruled by Jupiter, it's ruled by expansion, so it's ruled by thought as well, expressive thought, optimism, right? Speaking of optimism. So this attitude, this energy gives off the whole, I'm not going to listen to nobody. I don't need structure. I don't even have to be practical. But you're a Virgo sun, King. So this is where the whole, conflict comes within. It's within your own self, because your ascendant is your filter. You see things through the eyes of Sagittarius energy, right? So it's like, how do you protect this Virgo with that energy? And I'm going to tell you like this, right? As much as this sounds kind of against what your grain may be, and this is just a suggestion, that you should let your Sagittarius energy do things that are, in a leadership style, in a way that's like going to be pioneering on the forefront of things that will risk whatever it is that the Virgo holds dear to, that is very practical. Let that Sagittarius energy take some risk. With the risks, because I think you have a good mixture by being a Virgo, that you will at least assess the budget in some type of way that says, okay, I'm going to at least make sure that I have a home, a roof over my head or something. You understand what I'm talking about? Because Sagittarius, man, they can go all out. This is the good thing about it, though, is that they can take the type of risks that when they nail something, it catapults them so far up the ladder that it's like people can't believe that they did it. All right, they often phrase this Sagittarius energy with being an artful dodger, because they're like, how did that person do that? Did they wing it? Like sometimes people think Sagittarius is in general just wing it through life, and they're like, whoa, that was a rough ride. You know what I mean? But depending on where you are in life, like if you're above 30, above 35, then I'd suggest you to use more of your Virgo. You should have gotten that ascendant energy. You should have taken great advantage of that when you're younger, because it's more of a learning experience, and you can at least attest to the things that did work and didn't work, so you can become wiser for it, right? At the same time, those leaps that you take will make you become a better person to be in dialogue with, right? Because you take those type of risks that other people will not take. They do not take. So they'll want to talk to them and figure out tips on, how'd you do that? Or how do you get up every day and you go about doing things like this? How do you just want to get up and go, right? That's fiery energy that you utilize on your forefront, because that's the game face that you wear despite you being a Virgo. All right, so I'm going to dip into this Scorpio moon thing going on in your stellium. All right, let's get one thing clear. The moon falls inside of Scorpio. All right, don't fret though. I'm explaining to you like an example that I've encountered with people with Scorpio moons. They know how to express the dark demons that they have inside. I guess you can call them demons. It's probably not even that deep. It's just turmoil. It's inner turmoil that is dark if communicated in a large forum. People will, they might make a comment like, oh, stay away from them or whatever the case may be. But really it's just real truths, real ugly truths that people go through. People with moon and Scorpio sense this more than the average person, and they, when they find the correct people to speak about it with, I found that they will do it. They will do it, and it brings some type of cleansing to them. But at the same time, with the being a Virgo sun and having that moon, it could bring more worry into your life. So this is what I suggest. When a planet is in the fall or it's in a detriment, create with that. So whatever it is that may be disturbing you, late nights or things that are behind the scenes, try to create with that. Whether put it through a channel, whether it's poetry, and it doesn't have to be something cliche as poetry either, right? Like you don't have to be the Edgar Allan Poe of your darkness. You can be a creative, you can design fashion apparel. You can, paint, do splash paint or something like that. Do something that's creative, and I bet you that can turn into something brilliant for you, something that people will be in awe and shocked about, right? And it'll bring that mystery to your persona as well, that people be intrigued by, and they'll be like, oh, what's really going on in it? But like I said, you may not necessarily express this with the world, and that's okay. I'd advise not to openly express it unless you do it in a creative way that can bring you some type of clout, bring you some type of good energy, all right? That can replenish your soul and say, okay, well, I'm glad I expressed that in some type of way. Now, you got the Libra Stellium, which I think is great, except for one thing. I'm going to point out the negative points, and then I'm going to bring it on in with all the positive, right? Mars is a detriment inside of Libra. So here you are with the Libra energy that is a conduit, or like a mediator for people to come together, right? And here you are with this Mars there, and Mars is like, no, it's all about me. So you see the conflict right there, how you get people together in meetings and stuff like that when Mars is there, like, no, I'm the soldier of war. I'm the one. I'm the guy in here. That's me. Right? So what you got to do is, again, I relate this to the Scorpio moon strategy, right? You take this Mars energy and you boil it up and say, you know what? I'm going to be a leader. Because these people are going to look at you like that regardless. Like if you try to be peaceful with people, you'll see that some people just won't be having it. And you may question yourself and be like, well, why is it like that? Like I'm trying to be cool with this person or these people, and it's like I'm still observing some disruption, and it's because Mars is there. You gotta be that guy so you gotta start dealing with it. You have to embrace it. You know what I mean? When you start embracing it and you start taking the leadership roles, which you probably are already doing, you'll see that because you have Venus and Leo, dress nice and, put your chest out when you speak and all of that, like you'll see how there's a certain club of people that's going to gravitate towards you anyway. And this can be good for like economics. People who see you, they will look at you as a prestigious person, regardless if you have any depth to you or not, right? That won't remind you that Scorpio moon is probably harbored for most people anyway. So people are going to look at your external, your outside appearance. Sagittarius there, that can also, add on to that because they have this real confident, sometimes even cocky energy about them. So that will add on to your outward appearance. And plus it's your ascendant, so even more, right? It's more simpler to accomplish that. But regardless, you have a Libra Stellium regardless. So some type of way you're going to be getting people involved with what you're doing. And, you just may be the CEO of the company, and people are going to have to deal with, your way of dealing with people in a Librian type of way is like, do this or do that, do this for me or do that for me. It's going to be like a real boss type attitude, a real boss type persona, unless you can like enter an industry that doesn't really depend on your communication. You can also do that. You can put yourself in a position to where you have cohorts that handle those type of operations for you. I'm talking about business a lot. Excuse me, I'm a business major, so this is like natural for me. But even in your chart, it says that it's a Libra Stellium, so this is based on your career. Anyway, you have all these planets there. Your Mercury is there. So sometimes with Mercury, right, you may think that you automatically have to speak to people in order to deal with them, and there will be some type of conflict, but that's not necessarily so. Mercury deals with information and the traveling of information, the sending of information, period. So you could be behind a desk and doing what you need to do without people even seeing your face. Like, these are the days and times that you can pull those types of things off. So what you can do is mitigate the conflict, right? Make your life simpler. Don't take these energies and say, okay, well, I have to be, standoffish, because no, you don't. You can put yourself in positions to where you don't have to be that way, thanks to technology and things of that nature. These futuristic things that we have at our fingertips these days that make life simpler, make the value of life increase, right, King? So, again, the Venus and Leo thing, though, right? Outside of work-related matters, like, you can have a great life, man. You can have a great life because you're going to be fun-loving. You're going to love leisure time. I mean, grandiose time with leisure. So outside of the work world, people will love to be around you because you're generous. You have this generous spirit in general, So you can go to the clubs, you can go to the racetracks, you can go to the Vegas, you can go wherever you want to go, and people are going to want to go with you. They're going to want to hang out with you because Venus, to have Venus in Leo is just like, it's like a real amplified Leo. It's a bright Leo. You might have to tone down a bit sometimes depending on who you're with, but this is what I'm saying. With your real personal circle, like outside of work and everything, this is where you can be you, and people are accepting of you because this is your immediate circle of friends. You understand what I'm saying? So utilize that to get away from whatever darkness your Scorpio moon may bring, or the psychoanalysis that you don't want to necessarily address. Pay attention to that, and look at where your Scorpio moon is too, like what house it's in, because I didn't have that information. So pay attention to that, and that'll help you when you're trying to go through whatever it is you need to go through with that there. All right. But for the most part, like Mars being in the 10th house, there are ways to work around that. There's ways to combat the placements that you have inside of your chart. So if I left anything out, I really believe I covered it, because the stellium, because it's in the 10th house, like, this is what I want to leave you with. Because the Libra is in the 10th house, you're going to benefit from being in some type of industry that gathers people anyway. So just remember the strategies that I explained, to where if you sense there is too much turmoil to where it affects your well-being negatively, delegate. Key word for this chart right here, delegate. And you're the man, King. You're the man already. I can sense it. You know what I mean? So if there's anything I left out, get in the comment box. You can message me if you want. And anybody else who's out there who have these similar placements, if you have any questions, get in the comment box. You know how I do. All right, I'm out. It's above, it's below. I happen to her avatar. She has above average, bro, organized manager. T's Madagascar. See my drive, they reply fast as a NASCAR. TV plasma, queen since a teen, give me keys to your Jaguar. Oh, I'ma hop into my avatar. You should hop into your avatar. Let's update each other's repertoire. As above, as below, I hop into her avatar. She has above average, bro, hop into that avatar. T's Madagascar. See
my drive, they reply fast as a NASCAR. Caged in my cage for days and on that. She raises our refrain, jealous of Mary Jane because my aim is a mouth. No smoke in my face, don't play that in my house. So obey, okay.